Hi, this is my case study for School Law EDL 850 about internet violations. With this case study, what we know. Roosevelt High School is part of a large city that includes financially secure families, such as doctors and lawyers. Dr. Stephen Forbes has been the principal for RHS for 9 years. He was even elected the principal of the year 2 years ago. Dr. Forbes hired Miss Cindy Walker as a highly qualified teacher for specialized science classes such as zoology, biology, and in his opinion, he only hires highly qualified teachers. What we know, part 2. Students in Miss Walker's class strive to be the top of their class. They're looking to be salutatorians or valedictorians of their class. Students experience high levels of stress in Miss Walker's class. Parents have also complained about that. Mr. Forbes gave strategies, and she hasn't integrated any of those strategies to help lower the stress level. Over a long weekend, Miss Walker received an email with a link to a website that was more or less hating on her, degrading her as a teacher, and was thinking that she needed to be gone. Miss Walker accused the student for starting the website and sending the email. Those are things that we know. What we need to know. Why didn't Miss Walker integrate the strategies suggested to her to help lower the stress level? Why didn't Dr. Forbes do more to lower the stress in the classroom to help prevent the situation? Where did the emails originate? Who created the website? And what caused the student or students to act with this behavior? More or less what we need to know is why wasn't it prevented in the first place? But more importantly, why and who created the emails as well as the website? I see three major problems, or three problems, not major problems, but three problems in this case study. The emails and website creator or creators are unknown. What specifically drove the students or person? Because it may not have been a student, it may have been another teacher, but the likelihood it may have been a student. To create the emails or website. And Miss Walker's class is experiencing high levels of stress. Those are all problems that could possibly be solved with more administration input in the classroom, or more administration being in the classroom. Okay, my plan of action. First thing I would do is for sure print off hard copies of everything. At the end of the case study, we saw that Dr. Forbes was trying to do that. If I was the administrator in this situation, I'd make sure I had hard copies of everything, because what is to say that the students, people behind the website, students or not, realize they did something wrong and shut it down. So you never know when they may try to go away. I'd also inform the superintendent, just so that he or she is aware of the situation, because you want to keep your administration, which is your superintendent, involved as well. I'd also talk to the technology department and see if they can trace the emails and try to get the website shut down first if it's not done already. Next, I would try to do the first three before I talk to Miss Walker and before the school starts. So starting pretty early in the morning. But I would talk to Miss Walker before school starts to share what has been discovered, if anything. After talking to the tech department, maybe they had already figured something out. If they haven't, that's fine too. But also just discuss with her how she's feeling for the day, kind of where her state of mind is, and find out if she can maintain a professional manner inside the classroom. Is she going to go into the classroom and start accusing kids right away? Or can she be able to relax and know that it's being taken care of, but let's continue on with class? and show the kids that it didn't faze her. Or maybe she needs a day off. Give her the day off to let things cool down just a little bit. Remind all the students of the rules. After I talked to her and figured it out, I would like to remind all of the students of the Internet and Technology Policy and the consequences of violating that policy. The school should have a Internet and Technology Policy, and there should always be consequences automatically laid out for what happens if they violate those. Sorry, I don't know what happened. My plan of action continued. After I have talked to Miss Walker and have reminded all of the students about the Internet policy, I'd like to begin talking to the students in her classroom, in Miss Walker's class. Not specifically about the website or the emails. You don't want it to sound like an interrogation, but you just want to talk to them about what's been going on in class. Maybe because of the stress level and all of the parent complaints, you need to be talking to the students. And so as an administrator, I'd like to talk to the students and see how the students feel about being in that classroom, to know exactly, what may have been driving somebody to do this without specifically pointing it out. Once it is determined who is part of creating the emails and website, if it can be determined, you would want to make sure that that person's student or students are punished based on what's laid out in the consequence of violating the technology and internet policy. You want to make sure that you can hopefully quickly, figure out who does this and deal out a consequence, so all the student body knows that it's not acceptable to undermine your teachers or degrade your teachers in this manner, and that it's not okay to put it on the internet anyway, because the internet is very public, and there's nothing private about it. So hopefully it can be resolved quickly. Once the technology and violation has been dealt with, I'd also like to work more one-on-one with Miss Walker through professional development, observation of her classroom, maybe to help give more pointers on how to reduce the stress level in her classroom, but still maintain a rigorous program. She likes to challenge the students, which is what she needs to do. But maybe in not such a stressful manner. With permission from Miss Walker, try to use this situation to, for students and teachers to understand the importance of safe and polite internet activity. We want to turn this into a learning opportunity if possible. Maybe, not all of the details of who it was, what it happened to, who it happened to, but definitely for an learning opportunity, so people know that the internet is not a safe place and nothing is private. Resolve the issues. This plan of action resolves the problems while promoting fairness and integrity of all parties involved. No student was singled out until after it was determined who was fault. So, as an administrator, I made sure, I would make sure not to single out a student. Even if the teacher, comes to me and says it's this one specific student for sure, or she believes it is for sure, waiting, not singling that student out until we know for sure it is that student. Staying in consistent communication with Ms. Walker. Made sure that she was conducting herself in a professional manner while inside the classroom. How was her day going? Was she, letting the kids get to her? How was it? How was her mood with the students? Finally, working with Miss Walker to make sure that she works on classroom experience, works on making the classroom experience less stressful, but still rigorous. We want to make sure that she humps lower that stress level to maybe not, maybe if the stress level was a little bit lower, the students wouldn't have been pushed to these kind of measures. But still rigorous. We still want them to learn. We still want to challenge them, which helps students. And then finally, resolving the issue. We would also like to use this situation as a professional development for other teachers that will help other teachers and students understand the importance of safe online practices. We want to make sure that our staff and student body know that things on the internet are not always the best. Putting something in such a public manner is not the way to go about it. Debriefing the case, what was I thinking? I was thinking that there was something wrong going on in the classroom if there were such high stress levels and parent complaints. Which in that case, I should have been in the classroom more and, trying to figure out exactly what was wrong with what she was doing, with what Miss Walker was doing. Students didn't realize what they were, I was worried that the students didn't realize what they were doing could have led to something more dangerous. What could have happened to Miss Walker if the student, somebody that was really bad, we didn't get the websites shut down soon enough. Something bad really could have happened in this situation. And I was worried that it could have happened. Finally, how could, I was thinking of how this, situation could lead to a learning opportunity for others. We really wanted to stress that this needs to be a learning opportunity for other people. How can we do that with such a, with a way without singling out who was involved, but also making sure that everybody knows that it was not an acceptable thing to do and why it wasn't so acceptable. What was I feeling? I was irritated that someone could devalue one of my teachers in a highly public manner. None of the teachers, that is the administrator, you never want to see your teachers degraded or devalued. And, being that somebody was able to put it on the internet where it's not, it's not private, everything's public, it kind of ticked me off a little bit. I was very irritated. I was scared. I was scared that if something didn't change in the situation, could have gotten more out of hand before it gets better. For example, maybe we couldn't get the websites shut down. So, what does that show the student body? Or what would happen to our teacher if it didn't get shut down? What would the students do, or whoever? What could have happened? I was scared for the outcome of the situation. I was hopeful that the situation is resolved, hopefully quickly, and that it became a learning opportunity for others. Debriefing the case, what did I value? I valued that Mr. Forbes kept calm and collected when he first beginning to handle the situation. He didn't really brush her off. He did say that, it was probably just a prank, but let me see what you're looking at. So, he kept calm and collected. He wanted to make sure that she understood he wasn't brushing her off, but wanted to make sure that it wasn't being blown out of proportion as well. I value Miss Walker for wanting to teach her class and making the content rigorous. That's what the students need, and that's what leads to more in-depth learning is rigor. And if she wanted to teach that way, that's a great thing. That's what we value in our teachers, is the fact that they want to do that. But also maybe a different way of going about, less stressful. I also value that the students, teachers, and parents learned something from this situation, and that realize nothing online is private and contained into one area. It is a very public place, and anybody can access it. So anybody can access any of that information that was said about Miss Walker or any of that. So hopefully we can turn it into a good learning opportunity. Some unresolved issues. Who actually created the emails? Was it ever discovered if they were, who did it, who didn't? Are the schools consequences, so what the consequences are that I dish out as an administrator, or is there more legal action that needs to be taken for slander or maybe even assault, the intent to hurt somebody? If no one is caught, what does that tell our student body about devaluing our teachers? If something isn't done about the situation, what is our student body going to do when another teacher is challenging them? Are they going to try the same thing? So there's a lot of unresolved issues without knowing who actually created the emails and how to get it shut down. Integrity and ethical behavior. I feel as an administrator with the plan of action that I take, I acted with integrity and ethical behavior, notifying proper authorities for help and guidance along the way. I wanted to make sure that the superintendent was involved. If needed, I wanted if needed, I wanted to make sure that the police department was involved as well. I acted with integrity and ethical behavior, not singling anyone out or accusing anyone. When discussing with the students, I talked to all students, not just one in particular. I wanted to make sure that none of them felt like they were singled out. I just was gathering information about the class. I was setting the plan of action and sticking to it allowed me to have the integrity to make sure that proper learning could still be performed in the classroom. So, the integrity was there by sticking to a plan of action and making sure that I had a plan of action to begin with, and that all students were able to still learn no matter what was going on in the background. And finally, trying to use integrity and ethical behavior by trying to get the website shut down at ASAP. I didn't want any of my teachers I didn't want anyone, parents, students, or even fellow teachers, to know about the website. I wanted to make sure that the integrity of my teacher was still there, so that way Miss Walker wasn't degraded. Fairness and dignity. I feel like I showed fairness and dignity with not brushing off Miss Walker after she brought the situation to my attention in the beginning. Fairness and dignity, again, I didn't single out any of the students. I talked with all students just to gather information about the class. And I had fairness and dignity and made sure that all students, teachers, even parents understood the internet and technology policy and the consequences that go with it, and turned it into a learning opportunity for the future. Professional code. I wanted to make sure that the professional code I showed was to make sure that Miss Walker had my full support during the entire situation. She needed to feel like she could come to me and talk anytime she heard something new or saw a new email, and knew what was going on with talking to all of her students as well. I understood the complaints from the parents and worked with Miss Walker to correct those issues. How, professional development. Maybe even being in the classroom observation once a week, at different times, just to see what time of day was more stressful than others. But helped Miss Walker overcome that stress level and hopefully bring it down. And I used the situation as a learning opportunity to continue to support and help the staff when they are in need. So, making sure that the teachers knew it was acceptable to come to me and talk to me about it. Making sure that the students understood what they did was wrong, as well as making sure that You help and support the staff anytime they need it.